Welcome to The Explainer. So what if leadership isn't really about character, but about cash? Today, we're digging into a really provocative argument, one that makes a direct and maybe uncomfortable link between your bank account and your ability to lead. The perspective we're looking at today says affluence isn't just a nice-to-have, it's the actual foundation of influence.
And the whole argument kicks off with this very stark statement. It basically draws a line in the sand right from the get-go. It sets up a hierarchy where wealth is, plain and simple, the deciding factor in who has power. This isn't just an observation, it's the core belief of the whole framework we're about to explore.
And right away, you see how this power dynamic plays out in the way people talk. On one side, you have the posture of need, pleading, asking nicely. And on the other, you have the posture of power, blunt, direct answers. This isn't just about a conversation style, it's about the positions that people are forced into because of their finances.
Okay, so let's start with the problem as this source defines it, the timidity of poverty. The argument here is that not having wealth isn't just a financial problem. It's a psychological state that actually cripples your ability to lead. It creates these behaviors that undermine your authority before you even open your mouth. Just think about that for a second. Intelligence without affluence will be despised. According to this viewpoint, your best ideas, your most profound wisdom, they mean absolutely nothing if you don't have money to back them up. Affluence here isn't just about being rich. It's the amplifier that makes sure people listen. Without it, you're basically on mute.
And the consequence of that? Well, it's that poverty effectively silences you. It's not just that people might disagree with you. It's like you're not even allowed to join the conversation in the first place. This perspective argues that without financial resources, your wisdom gets dismissed and your voice is literally erased from the room.
And this brings us right back to that difference in how people talk. See, timidity isn't seen as a personality flaw here. It's presented as a direct symptom of poverty. When you're financially dependent on others, your language naturally becomes one of begging. But on the flip side, financial independence gives you the freedom to be blunt, to speak your mind without being afraid of the fallout.
And here, the social penalties are laid out, and it's a really grim picture. We're talking about total isolation, being shunned by friends, avoided by neighbors, just trapped. The ultimate cost, according to this argument, isn't just being hungry or uncomfortable, it's the complete and utter loss of your personal dignity.
Okay, so we've talked about the problem, but the source doesn't just leave it there. It proposes a direct antidote, the dignity that comes with affluence. So now we're going to shift from the behaviors that tear down leadership to the one thing this argument claims can restore it, turning that timidity into real authority.
The relationship is presented almost like flicking a switch. Wealth, in this view, literally turns on your ability to rule. It's the catalyst that can take someone from being this passive, ignored person and turn them into an active, authoritative leader who has real control and influence.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because you start to see the specific qualities of this kind of leadership. Notice how wealth isn't just about being comfortable, right? It's framed as an active toolkit for power. It helps you attract allies. It makes your word the final say. It commands respect, and it can even become a weapon you use in conflicts. It's the engine of leadership. And that metaphor, wow. Wealth attracts friends as honey draws flies. It's pretty telling, isn't it? It suggests a kind of influence that is almost automatic. It's not something you necessarily earn through your character. It's this magnetic pull that just comes with financial power, drawing people and opportunities to you. So this all begs the question, right? If affluence is the key to dignified leadership, how do you get it? Well, the source moves from the what to the how, and it proposes this very specific spiritual mechanism, a principle of firsts, that it claims is the key to unlocking all this prosperity. So the core idea here is something called the first fruit, and it's really important to get this. We're not talking about giving leftovers. It is specifically the first and the best part of whatever you earn. The act of giving this portion first, before anything else, is presented as the main trigger for activating divine favor and, material blessing.
So the process is laid out as this super clear two-step deal, almost like an unbreakable spiritual law. Step 1, you honor God with the first and the best. Step 2, you get an overwhelming return. It's presented not as a maybe, but as a direct transaction of cause and effect, a guaranteed path from honor to abundance. And this is the scriptural foundation the source points to for this whole principle. This passage is interpreted not just as some good advice, but as the blueprint for a spiritual law. It frames a guaranteed path from the act of giving that first fruit to the outcome of having plenty.
And so, that brings us to the end of this journey. And man, it's been a challenging and pretty uncompromising argument, hasn't it? The source material draws this incredibly stark line. On one side, you have poverty, which it says breeds timidity and strips away dignity. And on the other, you have affluence, which is positioned as the essential ingredient for respected, effective leadership.
This leaves us with a huge question to grapple with. What really is the relationship between someone's wealth, their dignity, and their influence on the world? What does it mean for our ideas of leadership, power, and respect? Who gets a voice, and who gets silenced? That's something to think about.